You have just loaded up your first FM24 save and you want to make sure you have added the right leagues to your save. You want the best Wonder Kids, you want all the teams, you want all the players, but you don't want your game to run slowly. Here is the best way to add leagues in FM24. So you're at this menu and you want to start a new game. Of course you do. You are starting a new save and you want to go into career. Probably. Most likely you want to do that. Then you choose game mode and you will pick original. That's what everyone does. On to advanced setup is where we go next. That's the most important thing. If you want to add your own custom leagues or more diverse leagues than the game normally gives you, you want to press that advanced setup stage. You don't want to skip that and you will end up coming to this screen once it slowly loads in. Don't worry, it will load eventually. So this is what you're normally met with when you load up this screen. Now ignore all of this. It will depend on what team you want to select. So for example, if you want to do a one club save, which is what I tend to do, I've got a series by the way, Bournemouth save down below, go check it out. If you want to do a one league save, so for example, you want to pick one team and carry on throughout, this league here, the only league at the moment, is what you want to pick. So for example, if I'm picking a Serie A side, I will change it to Italy. If I'm doing a Premier League side, I'll change it to England, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. I tend to then select the lowest league or lowest professional league in that league. So Serie A, I'll pick Serie B, Ligue 1, I'll pick Ligue 2, and vice versa. So let's keep it as League 2 at the moment. Let's say I'm going to pick a West Ham save. This is what I would do. Now, usually, or in the past, I have then gone add remove leagues and pick leagues that I fancy. I've gone, you know what, let's add France, let's add Germany, Portugal, Spain, a couple of South American teams. Now, you can do that, but it is a little bit slower for your game and you don't maximize the potential of your save. So this is what you really want to do. Cancel all of that and you have one league active there. You then want to go into the advanced database section on the approximate player count down here and you want to add every single continent. Now it sounds like a lot. Don't worry, it's players, not necessarily clubs. You then want to add current international players to every single tick box there. Go through and add every current international player. You then want to add top division clubs, players from top clubs, players of continental reputation, and lastly, players from clubs in continental competitions. You want to make sure all of that is saved for every single continent. Now, like I say, it does seem like you are ticking a lot of boxes, and you are, but you want the best FM save experience, don't you? That's why you're on this video. And if you're on this video for more tutorials, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 3K subs ASAP. Also leave a like and comment what save you are going to play with this new database style here. So once you've done that, you want to press OK. Now, as you can see, the approximate player count is 110, almost 111,000 players. Do not worry about that. This star rating is based on the number. It doesn't necessarily mean how your computer will perform. So don't start panicking when it gives you a 1-star speed. It's not going to matter. Do not fear. That is the main step. Now down here in advanced options, you can do a whole sort of thing. You can pick fake players and staff if you want. You can, I don't know why you would, untick real fixtures. You want real fixtures, let's be honest, don't you? You can add, do not add key staff, but I untick it most of the time. But this one down here, add players to playable teams, is what you want. It keeps a recycle of regens coming through across all of the continents you've added. So basically means it loads in all the players, but it doesn't necessarily keep the data for every single club, which keeps your game nice and wide in terms of the players you can sign, but it doesn't mean your data is constantly loading and loading and loading random Ghanaian second division team leagues that you don't really care about and don't need your game to worry about to make it a bit slower. Whereas you can use this whole scout network you've now got to find the best players possible. The one thing I will say is that because you haven't got so many active nations, you may experience a few less transfers coming in, as in transfer bids coming in for your players. However, I've used this before and it genuinely, I don't notice it. You can't tell a difference. If you could tell a difference, I wouldn't do it. But this is how I generally do it. Now, in terms of quality of life things, you can disable the first transfer window. There's no need for that. It depends how you want to play your FM save. This one here is a very common one for people to turn off and turn on. However, I always keep it off, and I'll tell you why in a second. This disable player attribute masking. You know when you click on a player and you see all of their attributes like acceleration, strength, finishing, first touch. If they're not your player, it'll come up with not a number or a broad, wide range of numbers until you've scouted them. This kind of makes it a bit more realistic. You want your scouts to go out to find players you don't know much about. They come back and give you all of the information. This one here is if you're not worried about scouting, the stats and attributes are there for you already without knowing the player. I would turn it off because I feel like part of it is finding those hidden gems, sending your scouts out to random corners of the world, and then coming back with a 17-year-old that has 20 pace. That's what I like. I don't want to be able to see every single player straight away, straight off the bat, and just know they're good. I like finding those hidden gems, having to work for good signings is what FM's all about in terms of transfers. You then have prevent control of teams and managers in place, leave that, and prevent use of the in-game editor. If you want to do that, you can, but it leaves your opportunities open if you keep it unticked for if you want to add anything in the editor later on down the line. So I tend to add it unticked. Now, if you are a journeyman, what I would do is add a couple of leagues in which you think your path is going to be. So say, for example, in your head, you want to start in Sweden, then maybe move to Austria, then end up in the Premier League. Add those ones in. Make it a really easy route for you to do. Now, in the game, you can add leagues that come after the season. I'll show you that when we're in the game. But for something like a journeyman, you could do something like this, and it would allow you to easily move between nations quite simply. It does increase, obviously, the player count there, but don't worry about it. Not too massively affecting your game. I've gone down to half a star. I'm not panicking. Don't worry about it. So that's what's going to happen if you want to do a journeyman save. Kind of add your rough route here, but enough of the player count, because of your advanced database, gives you enough of the players here that you can scout players from all over the world and not have to worry about it. Now for me, my favourite setup for FM24 saves is something like this. So let me just remove this. So you will see this, like I say, you have your league that you're going to be playing in, which, let's say I'm a Premier League side. Let's select League 2 and above. You then want to add the top 5 leagues in, which are Germany, France, let's say Spain and Italy. So you've got 5 leagues there running now. As you can see, they all say playable. The ones that you're not going to be in charge of, so that's going to be France, Bundesliga, Italy and Spain. You want to put those to view only whilst still having all of these tick boxes ticked on the continents there. Once you've done that, you will see it's a lot better to use. For me, it gives it a bit more realism on those top 5 leagues that you're running around here. Now, if you wanted to, like I say, do a save in another country like a Norwegian side, add that in and make the English league view only. Whatever league you can imagine, make that playable and make every single else view only. That'll mean it's loading a bit more detail, but you don't have all the details that make your game really, really slow. Let's get into the game and I'll show you what I mean when I select those disable player attribute masking. So normally, if you go into a save or start at the West Ham save and you want to try and find, I don't know, let's say La Liga or Spanish League player. So if I go into Real Madrid and I want to find out a player that I know nothing about and there's never been scouted before, I can go in there and I can see every single one of his attributes straight off the bat. This is why you want to disable or you want to enable player attribute masking, because you don't want to do that. It's going to ruin the save for you when you know every single player straight away. It'll make signing players easier and a little bit less challenging. I mean, fair enough if you want that. Not everyone's cup of tea. But for me, I will always have it where it will say, the finishing will say 10 to 14 rather than 13. So you roughly know how good they are until your scouts come in and show you exactly what you can get. That's my preferred level of scouting on the game. So as you can see, this way that I've just shown you is the best way to load up leagues in FM24. And the main reason why is it allows you in huge continents like Africa, South America and Asia to load in countries and able to give you some incredible wonder kids from countries that you would never be able to scout before using this method. For example, if I want to go to Africa, let's find a random country off the top of my head. Let's go to Guinea. So Guinea here, if you look at clubs, I mean, or 17 clubs loaded, which is an unbelievable pool of players here that aren't going to be taking up too much time when you're loading it through, but they're there for you to scout. You can go into Haroya and you can see so many players here. And there's going to be some wonder kids and new gens in a couple of years coming through these countries that you simply would never have been able to find before, allowing your save in a few years to have such a wider pool of players and for you to be able to sign the best wonder kids across the world. And we want that on our FM save, don't we? Hope you guys enjoyed finding out the best way to load up leagues in FM24. If you are new around here, subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment what save you're going to do with these leagues loaded. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you all later.